What happens when two strangers with two completely different opinions meet for dinner? In this social experiment, people from all walks of life are paired up with their direct opposite and guided through a menu of questions specifically designed to promote discussion, disagreement and debate. Will they agree to disagree?
You raised the racism thing.
Huh. I'm a female, but I'm not a feminist.
You've just taken a massive leap.
I'm not biologically female and very comfortable with that.
Could they end up bonding over shared life experiences?
I see a smile on your face. What are you thinking right now? When you put that back to me, it does sound rather foolish. I admire that so much about you.
Or will it be fireworks from the off?
They are the most outdated thing in the world.
I'm not going to accept that comment.
No.
Have you ever thought about being a sex worker?
I'd end up doing more damage than good.
Are you really a traveller?
What a truly obnoxious thing to say.
Do you trust the governments?
Ha! No.
It's a man and a woman make a child. It's just a fact.
This is Eating with the Enemy. This restaurant is about to become a hotbed of conversation for a group of people who have never met before. Each person has agreed to have dinner with a complete stranger. Each conversation will be watched on by experts in the field of psychology and human behaviour.
The world has become really polarised, where outrage culture is dominant on social media.
We can form enemies online so easily, but when we sit down with somebody and share those common formalities and courtesies that having a meal demands, we have to take responsibility for the opinions that we hold.
We designed this series of questions to cut straight through the small talk, to get them talking about their topic of interest.
This social experiment is vitally important to help people to manage diversity and difference when they meet in a conversation. And they might learn when they sit down with somebody and share that meal that they have a lot more in common with them than they previously thought.
So with everything in place, let's meet our first diner.
George here, born 81 years ago, very poor in Cork, and I'll be happy to hear has a ton of money in Dublin. My mother thought I was born in a stable in Bethlehem. She did not train me for marriage. I am indisputably an SH1T. There are no opinions anymore. If everybody who writes, talks, is afraid to say what they truly believe, then we're in a bad way. No, nobody's going to change my mind tonight. Thanks.
Who will be joining George for dinner?
My name is Martin Beans Ward. I'm 37 and I'm from Galway. What 3 words would describe me? Humorous, empathetic, and overthinker. I'm quite passionate about helping others achieve things in life that would normally be closed off for them. I'd like to have a conversation with somebody who is balanced. I don't like shouty people. I know I don't know everything, and I'm quite willing to be wrong. And I'd like to meet somebody of similar qualities with a similar mindset.
Good evening.
Good evening.
George.
Martin.
Hi.
Thank you. Of course I recognised them. I didn't feel like I was going to be in for an argument, but it did change my internal approach.
Time for George and Martin's first question.
When someone meets you, what question do they always ask you?
Well, without being falsely modest, you can't have been in front of a television camera for 20 years or on a radio station for 20 years that you meet somebody and invariably the first question is about that part of my career. I mean, what questions do people ask you when they meet you first?
One of the first things they ask is, are you really a traveller?
Are you really a traveller?
I am, but it is a question because I think there's this notion that travellers have to fit a certain stereotype and generalisation. Another one I get asked about, are you really gay?
Are you really gay?
Oh, I'm just regular gay, because I'm not overly gay, George.
I think I would have been surprised no matter who came in, because I didn't know who was going to come in. But I expect a person to come in a kind of 21st century version of a Bonin jacket, a traveller, gay, and then I was surprised.
Thank you very much.
Well, I have to tell you, you're the first gay person I ever had dinner with. You are...
They surprise you sometimes, George,
yes,
you know.
And you are certainly the first traveller I've had dinner with. So this is, for me, it looks like being a very entertaining evening.
When we sit down with someone who's our opposite, we can often be very apprehensive about that conversation and how we're going to hold ourselves.
We create instant judgments. We look at aspects such as their appearance, their dress sense, their non-verbal communication, and very often that first impression lasts and doesn't change.
Let's meet our next dinner guests.
My name is Mikey. I am 34 years old and I'm from Belfast. I think my best quality is my confidence. If I see something I want, I'm gonna go for it. I'm passionate about women's rights, feminism, and equality. Yeah, I think toxic masculinity is a big issue nowadays. And you know what? It gives me a bad name because I'm tired with the same brush. I'd like to take part in this social experiment because I think it would be pretty interesting to have a conversation with somebody whose opinion is opposite of mine.
So who's having dinner with Mikey?
My name's Orla. I'm an estate agent and I'm from County Antrim. I started off in beauty pageants. I then entered the Miss Ireland beauty pageant. I absolutely love beauty pageants. I think it is such an amazing thing for a young girl to do. Things that make me angry in life are people with too many opinions and people that are very judgmental. I wouldn't class myself as a feminist. Yes, I'm a woman, but it doesn't mean that you have to be a feminist because you're female. It'll be really interesting to see how it goes and how we're going to be with each other. It's a bit like a blind date. Hi, I'm Orla.
How you doing, Mikey? For whatever reason, I had it in my head that I was going to get some buffed out gym bro.
Thank you. I just thought I would be with a feminist because I have different views than what a feminist would have. So I thought I'll be stuck with like someone that's a feminist and a female.
When someone meets you, what question do they always ask you?
That's quite easy. Are you that girl off Big Brother?
Are you?
Yes, I am.
I've never really watched Big Brother.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what it is.
Yeah.
Did you win?
No, I walked out because I was becoming quite, like, depressed. No, it was more like I was feeling really low. So what is it you do back home?
Full-time caregiver for my special needs daughter.
Oh.
So, I mean, I've had to stop working for her.
Oh, that's so nice.
I mean, I have 5 children.
What?
5 children.
You do not look like you would have 5 children.
Yeah.
You look very young.
Well.
And you don't look stressed.
Yeah.
I was so shocked when he said he had 5 children. Like, the guy doesn't even look his age. Like, you could take 10 years off him.
For George and Martin, it's time to get stuck in.
Are people too sensitive these days?
Like, that almost isn't a question because the answer is so obvious. Like, everybody is, you're not allowed to offend me. Whereas for centuries, offending somebody was like the name of the game because the other person came back to you.
You're talking about offence. As a comedian, I run that gauntlet all the time. I run the
Comedy is based on offending people.
It is within a certain, there's certain jokes you can't do. You can't do racist jokes, for example. Where's the fun in doing the racist joke? With offence. This is the line I love, George. You chose to be offended. No. That's like saying, I'm going to throw a punch at you. You're going to choose whether or not it hurts you. It doesn't work like that.
You raised the racism thing, but that's what everybody
An
does.
example.
No, that's what everybody does.
In Ireland, it tends to be that.
Like, there's two great words that immediately shut down all discussion. One word starts with or, so they say that's racist, and now you've no comeback. And the second one, employed brilliantly by Fianna Fáil politicians, I find, is that's Trumpism. If you're accused of Trumpism, there's no way back.
You're entitled to say what you want. You're not entitled to escape the repercussions of how people react.
Okay. Like the Irish Times famously compared me to Harvey Weinstein.
Why?
Well, I had, and it cost me my job, certain views that when we send our girls out, we have a responsibility to tell them that if they have 10 vodkas, they're not in a good position to defend themselves against predatory males. And I was viewed as I was sort of supporting the rape culture, right?
But why is the responsibility put on the girl?
The point I'm trying to make is, was I offended? Of course I was offended. Did I do anything about it, which I probably could have done? No. I'm taken out by my wife and my 2 daughters, and they say, Pop, if you think for 1 minute you're dragging the entire family through all this horse manure again just for you to kind of get some kind of release, it's not going to happen. Pop.
Did you learn anything from the experience of that, or did you recant anything that you said? Or
No, I didn't do anything.
So you still have the same...
I just became a retired broadcaster.
Well, that's sad, actually.
This isn't about George Hook. This is about George Hook, Joe Brolly, Kevin Myers.
Well, it's George Hook that's having a meal with me today.
Yes, that's true.
So let's talk about George Hook.
Yeah.
How did you feel when people wrote stuff about you that you found unfounded?
But I was angry as hell.
Of course you did.
But the thing is, I think there is a place for George Hook. There's a place for Kevin Myers. There's a place for you.
But there has to be some regulation of the things that you get allowed to print, allowed to be digested publicly.
There is.
But there wasn't.
No, wrong. There is. It's called the law of libel. So when the Irish Times compared me to Harvey Weinstein, I had the right to take an action.
But you can't just have one person in power saying all these things, but not giving the right of response.
It is now incumbent on the newspaper, the radio, or the television to give the alternative view.
No, that's not true.
I know. Well,
that's not true,
is.
George. Come on.
In this restaurant, a group of strangers are having dinner with their so-called enemy. Each pairing has been carefully selected due to their apparent differences. Each table has a menu of questions that appear throughout their meal.
If there were no questions, people would fall into an unspoken rule of not challenging each other. They would stay in that comfortable space of small talk.
What this experiment does, it offers an opportunity for people to meet with their opposites and provide them with a safe space to have a respectful conversation.
As our diners tuck into their meals, who's next to take a seat?
My name is Imra. I work for LinkedIn, and I'm from the Netherlands. I'm passionate about liberty. 200 years ago, that pretty much everyone was poor. Even the richest people wouldn't have the same standard of living as we have nowadays. And that's all because of free market capitalism. So libertarian would support less government, lower taxes, less regulation as well. That's eating with the enemy, so it's pretty much the complete opposite of what you stand for. But it's also interesting to hear opposing views. I hope someone wouldn't have an emotional breakdown and start crying. That would be terrible.
With Imra ready and waiting, let's meet his dinner companion for the evening.
I'm Saturn, I'm 31 years young, and I'm a creativist and an activist. I was reborn on Turtle Island, and I have Bengalian blood. Lots of issues frustrate me in the world. Housing crisis and cost of living. I think it should be a priority of a government to make sure that we're all housed and we all have health care. Hello. I think I'm totally open-minded, yeah, for sure. I mean, have you seen me?
What's your name?
I'm Saturn.
Saturn, like a planet?
Yeah, exactly like
Cool.
a planet. Yeah. And yours?
Imra, but you can also call me Im.
Im?
Yeah.
Cool, I like it.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, Gaurav Margot. He seemed like the suited adversary I thought I might be up against. The shirt and tie kind, you know.
How would I describe Saturn? She's colorful.
If you were in charge of Ireland, what change would you make?
No, we're just slashing a lot of rules and regulations, just make sure people are free.
Well, that's a good way to be, I guess, maybe something a little bit similar. You know, solving all the crises that we have at the moment, make healthcare free, everything, public transport, make sure everybody has a roof.
Interesting. Yeah, I would differ on that one. So I'm in favor of privatizing healthcare, education, pretty much everything.
You want to privatize it all?
Everything, yeah.
I would make it all free.
Okay.
Yeah, why would you privatize it all?
Yeah, because there's no such thing as free, because it's still either tax-funded.
Yeah, but why would we be working towards a tax-orientated world if we could work towards an ecosystem where these things are not fueled by money? We all maybe chip in a little bit and do our bit to keep it going. It doesn't take that much to run the world. We've seen it during COVID. Everybody wants to work and do a little something. I just don't see why some people have to get paid zeros upon zeros and, you know.
Is there a possibility for an opt-out system?
What do you mean?
Let's say I'm really more money-orientated. I want to have my own business. I want to employ people. I want to start the next Amazon or something. Should I be allowed to do that?
You know, you're setting up a business for money as opposed to following a passion or a dream. If your dream is to set up a business for money, then you're just greedy.
Okay, but people have different values, so should I be allowed to pursue the money goal?
If you want, it just doesn't exist in the world that I change. It looked pretty silly.
Very often our points of view are linked with our identities. So to engage with someone with a different point of view actually threatens our sense of self.
We can release cortisol, which shuts down the thinking center of the brain. And so we become a little bit more defensive, and this can position the conversation in a conflicted way.
Are you a feminist?
That's a bit of a tough one for me.
Sure.
I'm a female, but I'm not a feminist. So my daughter asked me this question a few weeks ago, and she was quite annoyed at my answer. And she said, why? I'm a feminist. And I went, not everyone who is female needs to be a feminist. I said, you have a brother, I have a son. So I can see both sides. So feminists can have their say, I can have my say. I can just be that wee bit in between.
You mean sit on the fence?
Not so much sit in the fence. I'll always have my own view.
I think she thinks feminism is a hate campaign against men. And she's worried to embrace that because she has a son. But I think what she fails to understand is the son needs to be properly educated on how to behave and how to treat and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable.
I just don't get it.
You don't get feminism?
I just don't get why you have to put a label on something.
Are you a feminist? I'm a feminist. Do you not think that women deserve equality? Like, yes or no? That's a yes or no.
It's not about deserving equality. It's that we have it out there. You know, if I want to go out and get a job that a man has, I can go and do that.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, but if a man has more qualifications, then he deserves the job. I was shocked when he said he was a feminist. I obviously have never had a conversation with a man that has said that he is a feminist. And it did kind of throw me a little bit. I wouldn't be forceful in the fact that I feel as a woman that I'm looked down upon.
Do you say you don't feel like you are looked down on?
I don't, no. A woman shouldn't have to stay and wash dishes. A woman shouldn't have to change nappies. But I know men that, like yourself, you are a full-time dad. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with a woman being a full-time mum.
Yeah, I agree with that too. But You should support it because you know what? Your daughter deserves equality.
I will support my daughter in her ways, but I will also have my own views and how I look at things.
From what she said, she does not understand what feminism is. I think she would be all about feminism if she knew what it was and what it actually stood for. Because why wouldn't she want to be a feminist? And her saying because she has a son, that's ridiculous.
Over with George and Martin, it seems the same topic is on the menu.
Can I ask you a question?
What?
And smile at me when I ask it. Are you a feminist?
Well, all the women in my life, family, dating, marriage, have all been incredibly strong women. So I'm a huge fan of women. And I had this affliction when I was a child of wearing women's underwear. I may be a feminist. I think the interesting thing about that, in today's world, if they had discovered that 7-year-old George was wearing women's knickers, I would then get injected with some sort of stuff to help me to transition to transgender.
Oh, come on.
It is true.
Would you stop?
Do you think that's not happening?
No, shut up. Look, okay. You're conflating cross-dressing with transgenderism. They're two totally different things.
They're not.
Wearing clothes and your gender that you identify with, they're two totally different things.
And are you a feminist?
The label of feminist is not something that I've ever used on myself, but that's mainly because I'd see myself as an egalitarian. But by Christ, I believe in everything that feminists believe in.
Well, where do you stand on abortion?
Basically, in a position where I'm a man that will never have to think about that. That's not our argument, George.
Well, you see, it is.
It's not.
No, it absolutely is our argument. His fetus is our child as well as the woman's child.
So I take it that you're against the right for women to choose?
No, but I have a religious objection to abortion. So therefore, in the referendum, I voted against abortion. But what I believe in absolutely equally passionately is the right of the Irish people to decide.
And they have.
And I'm happy with it.
When George spoke about the fact that he was a feminist and he believes in democracy, and then at the same token, he says that he's, you know, against women having the right to choose what they do with their body, I think there's a small bit of hypocrisy there. If you're a feminist, the comment you made earlier about women needing to do whatever they need to do to protect themselves, do you not think you should be fighting from their corner, as in mothers, fathers, have a chat with your sons?
There have been some famous rape cases in the last number of years in which there have been girls who literally did not know, you know, where they were. Were they taken advantage of by guys? Absolutely. Should those guys have gone to jail? Absolutely. All those things are a given. But now, do you tell your daughter as she goes out, sweetheart, don't have 25 God tests? It's not a smart idea.
I suppose this is a part of the debate, well, not even the conversation, where you trump me because I'm not a father and you are.
You will be in due course. Gays now.
Gays now can have children.
Yes.
Oh, thank you very much, George.
My Cork accent.
Yeah, I swear to you, no, boy, like you. And you gay fellas, you can have children now if you want, like.
Yeah.
Couldn't be doing with it, George. Couldn't be doing with it. Too much hassle.
But I mean, I voted against abortion, but I voted for gay marriage.
I remember your beautiful oration.
All right.
Actually, ahead of the marriage referendum.
But therefore then don't denigrate when I suggest you can have children if you want to.
I just think it's incredibly kind of you to give me that offer.
With all the diners enjoying their meals, it's the probing questions that are sometimes the hardest to swallow.
Oh, Bing, your turn.
Do you trust the government?
Ha! No. I've got a factory and we were making a lot of Molotov cocktails and we're just going to pick a date and then hit the doll.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I would rather change the whole entire system. There would be no hierarchical level. There's no, like, There's no judge there's just the jury, and the jury is the people, and we all decide, and we all have that input.
Okay. Well, what I'm a little bit afraid of is that...
Anarchy.
No, like, I think we can find agreement on that one, because I would describe myself as a libertarian or anarcho-capitalist, so I'm in favor of abolishing government. Like, let's throw the Molotov cocktails.
Yeah, right. I got one with your name on it.
It's possible to have let's say, a socialist or communist commune in a free market society. You can just pool your resources together voluntarily. But I think it's really difficult to do it the other way around. Like, for example, start a free market society within a communist country or territory.
You know, you're going to find your tribes, you're going to just exchange and trade. Like, we had this before money.
Why do you think money got created?
To further trade and greed, but I don't think it's essential.
It could only work if people stop being greedy, right?
Ideally, yeah.
But how do you then change human nature or self-interest?
Well, I think the greed changed it in the first place. I believe we once got along much better, and I'd like to go back to that. I had a vision once, and I went to the point in time, I think, where the first moment of, say, greed struck. I was there, I was with a tribe. The tribe was living peacefully. And then over afar in the bushes, I'd seen a couple of hunters kind of come in, and then they got greedy of what they saw, and they wanted it. Now, from that moment, we changed from just being pure and caring and loving each other to wanting what somebody else has. And then what came after that has led to where we are today.
Are beauty pageants outdated? They are the most outdated thing in the world. I want to hear nothing from you on this subject.
Oh my goodness, no way. That's how I became out there in the whole modelling scene, by doing a beauty pageant. Loved every moment of it. And I went on to do Miss Ireland and then Miss Great Britain also.
I think it's ridiculous.
I love them.
I wasn't surprised. Obviously, she takes a lot of pride in her appearance, and that's great, good for her. But pageants.
The girls that enter those beauty pageants are very intelligent.
I bet.
And I just think a girl growing up entering a beauty pageant, no matter what shape, size, whatever hair colour you have.
But that's not the case.
No, I wasn't surprised at all that he said that he didn't support them. I knew that was coming. The people that you meet, lifelong friends, not exaggerated at all.
Lifelong friends, I can imagine you make a lot of friends with the girls. I can imagine you get a lot of psychological problems too, especially when you are focused on being the best and being the prettiest. And what about when you don't win? What about the other 20 girls that go home sad as hell?
I didn't win, I came second. It's the experience, and I actually was at the Miss Northern Ireland last year and was involved with it. And just the experience of being backstage with the girls, all just so lovely, all just so happy.
I think you are mad. Like, what?
But why? What are your reasons?
Oh, I'm gonna get there. Why do I think you're mad about beauty pageants being okay?
Yeah. Well, they're not outdated for one, so.
But I mean, they are, aren't they?
Not really.
I don't like them. I think it makes women focus on appearance only, instead of working on what's actually important in life. You're a very beautiful lady. But I mean, you could be the most ugly person on the inside.
You say about the whole psychological effects.
Yeah?
It really doesn't come down to that.
For you?
In a way, no. For, I would say, a lot of girls entering. I absolutely do not think that beauty pageants cause psychological illness. Like, that was a bit extreme. If and all, beauty pageants are very good for the mind and the soul and body, but I thought that was very random.
I think it's an outdated, archaic system that is based on what's on the outside. What's important is what's on the inside and how you treat people and how people see you. And it's great for someone to see you as a beautiful person. You know, what happens when you age? Because you ain't that fine, you know what I mean?
Although humans resist change, our brains have the ability to adapt and learn new things.
The brain has to deal with incredibly complex computations in any given moment, so it tends to rely on what's familiar. This allows us to save time and energy and navigate the world in a way that allows us to move through it quickly.
Devo.
I think that in Ireland at the moment, all the political parties are pretty much all the same.
Every party is the exact same. People before profit. What about them?
If there were an election and I was allowed to vote, and it would be between, let's say, I don't know, Fine Gael and people before profit, yeah, I would campaign and vote for Fine Gael. They would be the lesser of the two evil.
Really? You think so? He's just the same opinion of so many. He's like, oh, you're one of them. Cool. Thanks for, keeping the hardship alive.
I agree with this. These problems are caused by government, but the solution of people before profit is to get more government involvement, and that's the problem. Like, for example, with people sleeping on the street and all these tents at the canals in Dublin, it's a disgrace, but it's caused by government interference in the market. Dublin has the same service area as Paris, but Paris can house twice the number of people. And why is that not the case in Dublin? It's because of all the red tape that's going there. Does everyone have the right to a home?
We should, yeah, totally, but we don't.
Yeah, I completely disagree with that.
You don't think we should all have a right to a home?
We shouldn't have a right to a home, we shouldn't have a right to education, we shouldn't have a right to healthcare.
Wait, so you think it's better to have people living on the streets just because of whatever situation that they're in, that they don't deserve a home? Oh, when he said that someone shouldn't have the right to a house, it definitely struck a very personal chord with me, and I think it just seemed more like of an uneducated and narrow-minded viewpoint that could be changed with more conversation.
So how would you solve the problem with people living on the street?
House them.
Pretty much it means that you have to force someone at a gunpoint to provide a home to someone. If someone actually has a right, they can actually go to court, they can sue, I don't know what, society or the government saying, I don't have a home, someone needs to pay for it. Step up.
Yeah, a few people with their millions of quids and billions of dollars could just literally cure homelessness, probably with the profit of their billions, and not even blink for a year.
I completely disagree with that, that's extortion. So you could see that some people have wealth, other people don't, and then it's easy to jump to the conclusion that, oh, we're poor because other people are rich. That's not the case. You can already create a society that you want, right? You can just gather a group of people, start your own commune. Why aren't you doing that?
Because I'm homeless myself and I have enough of a struggle, just actually trying to survive at the moment. So I don't have the time to be crowdfunding for the entire nation to get them home, let alone the world. Nor do I have buckets of zeros that could cure all this, and I do not have a seat in the governmental position to make any drastic changes to the crisis at hand. So that's why I'm not doing anything.
When I found out that Saturn was homeless, I felt really sad for her. Like, it just shows that so many people are pushed out of available homes because of government interference in the market.
Been homeless for almost a year now, and it's pretty diabolical here, and the government don't really care to do much for us. It's really sad and scarring to see everybody end up almost being more hurt and damaged by the process of surviving homelessness when they're just trying to really rebuild and stabilize their lives.
George, what's your biggest regret?
My biggest regret is pretty simple, really, and it is why I'm so passionate about career guidance. My biggest regret is to go into a business because I wanted to show people how good I was. Whereas in reality, out of 2 million people, you couldn't pick a worse businessman than me. I wasted 25 years of my life in business. It drove me to Dunleary Pier, take my clothes off and plan on diving in and ending it all. The trauma of the 25 years, damage to marriage, family, relationships with friends, my own self-esteem. 20 years of so-called success doesn't fix that.
When George said that it brought him to the point where he contemplated suicide, that really struck a chord with me, because no one should ever be brought to that type of situation where they're even contemplating that. Not for money. He doesn't deserve to carry that demon around with him.
What's your biggest regret, kiddo?
My biggest regret is definitely not spending... I lost my granny just before the pandemic hit in 2020. And what I wanted to do was take time out and record her stories, because it's living history, George. It's living history. And I don't think that I respected the time I had with my most recent granny that passed away.
That's interesting, because there are two things that carry in my head every day of my life. I think about the wasted 25 years, and I think about my mother, who adored me. I was an only child. She loved me, and she got me to school and all that sort of stuff. And then I treated her like crap. She was old, and eventually she was dying. And that was all happening at a time when I was avoiding the cops and the creditors and the revenue commissioners and everybody else. And I didn't give my mother the time. And here's this woman who has done everything, everything. And I'm not there. And it's why I believe in heaven, because I'm going to get there, like, you know, and she's going to be there. And Peter is going to say at the gate, George, your mother's over there. And I'm going to go over and I'm go, how are you, ma'am? I'm really sorry. And I came good at the end, you know. I fulfilled your beliefs and everything. And I mean that. There isn't a trace of pretense about that.
I don't feel pretense.
I believe that every day of my life.
With Orla and Mikey's meal in full flow, it's time for some more food for thought.
Do you believe life is harder for men or women?
That's subjective, okay? Because I know damn well that life is tough for men. It's pretty tough because of feminism, right?
There you go.
But that's not a good enough reason for me to complain that we have it harder than women.
Yeah.
Okay, do you know why? I can get a taxi at night on my own, and guess what? I'm gonna make it to that house 100% of the time. I can't say that about y'all. Men are feared.
And women are frightened.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I have found it myself when I'm out walking the dog. You kind of are always looking over your shoulder. You don't wear your AirPods. And I do not like feeling like that. So it's both. I believe because I have a daughter and a son, I don't want to be choosing either side, you know, female or male. I need.
You're not choosing female or male.
Yeah, but I need to be open-minded on both.
And life is way harder for women. I just wanted to close that off. And do you know what sucks? I know that women are way stronger than men.
Oh, yes, I know we are.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, we bear children, so...
I mean, do you know what I'm saying? Not 2 minutes could we last in your shoes. You
and
just
women
get on with it. Yeah.
Get on with it. Now, I do see, like, from when my mum raised us, I would look that I have it easier.
Yeah.
My daughter, she has it easier than I had it growing up. So it will just keep getting easier because there's just so much for people to do, and women can go off and be lawyers and be big doctors and eventually, one day, rule the world, as Beyonce says.
Hey, it's coming. You know what I mean? It's coming.
With their meal nearing the end, have Imra and Saturn found common ground?
Do some people have too much money?
Yeah, totally. Greed. What do you think?
Well, people should have the right to have as much money as they want. In a free market system, the only way how you can acquire money is providing goods and services that people actually want. So you're making the world better off by getting loads of cash.
Sorry, say all of that again, because sorry, that sounded a bit stupid. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, so for example, the baker doesn't go up every morning at 4 or 5 a.m. to bake bread for the benefit of society.
But if he didn't have to, he'd probably still do it anyway. Just give the bread away.
You think?
Yeah, so why not? Someone else will drop him down spaghetti later on.
And finally, what do you like about your dining partner?
I like debate, and I think you're good for it, so... You know, different views. But I think you're also a pleasant human being.
Oh, thank you very much. So one thing I got from you with the enemy. So I think we all agree that it's important that people are housed and fed. It's just, I think where the difference is what kind of means should we use to reach that goal. Okay, I got it, yeah. People with radical points of view like Saturn's, we should listen to them. We should hear what they have to say. Maybe we shouldn't take all of their medicine, but maybe a little bit. I just love meeting with people from different backgrounds, different experiences, and also exploring like what kind of values really shape you. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, likewise.
You've just asked me the question, what have I learned from eating with the enemy? And I'm trying not to sound like a prick.
And finally, what do you like about each other?
You know what? I like that you were speaking nice about your children. If you teach your son how to act, then he can teach his son how to act.
Yeah.
And if you teach your daughter what to accept and what not to accept, then you don't have to worry about her.
My perception of you, when I walked in and took a seat, I was like, oh my God, he's going to be difficult.
I'm not difficult.
And I just didn't expect you to say that you were a carer for your daughter. And that is so kind to be able to step up to the mark and be able to do that.
Why wouldn't I like to see the development of my daughter?
There are other people that we just pay for the help.
Oh, that's mad. The one thing I learned from eating with the enemy is sometimes even the ones that need it won't take the advice.
I would like to think that I maybe opened his mind to think a wee bit more outside the box in terms of women doing beauty pageants. But, I mean, it's each to their own, really, at the end of the day.
I think from this experiment, people will learn key communicational skills. They'll become more aware of their body language and the messages that we communicate through it, but also learn how to be more assertive while also listening to the person we're speaking with, and hopefully learn how to manage difference and diversity when they meet it in the conversation.
When you engage meaningfully with another person, you realize that their point of view is just a small part of who they are as people. There's so much more that ties you together as human beings.
George, finally, what has surprised you most about your dinner guest tonight?
I was hoping for Mick Wallace or Richard Boyd Barrett or the various communists.
I'm sorry to disappoint you.
Yeah, so I was looking forward to having a row, right? But if they had said to me who I was meeting and your background...
You'd have made assumptions.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I would have made assumptions. I think tonight there was a synergy which was quite unusual, and I felt it, and I know he did. We learned a lot about each other. I thought it was a very uplifting experience.
I think what surprised me about you, George, and I mean this with the utmost respect, is I sense a lot of sadness in you, actually. I think there's a sadness in you that makes you more human than what the media made you out to be, actually. My opinion of George leaving today has changed somewhat in that I don't see him as the belligerent broadcaster. I see him as a human, and I think that's something I had to learn, and that's something I had to overcome, because I shouldn't be judging people before I meet them. I'm full of gratitude for you having those conversations with me tonight, because I think I'll walk away today not having the same propensity to have assumptions on people who work in the media. I think what I learned most was we should protect the spaces where opposing opinions and opposing minds can come together respectfully to have a conversation.
Martin, thanks. It was lovely.
Thank you very much.